4 points can disappear in one night.
I don't know, sometimes we do kind of write Pep off. We do go, has he still got that hunger, this City? Is it a rebuilding job? And he just mentioned there, they're still in contention to win a few trophies here, and they will try and hunt that Arsenal team down.
Right now, Arsenal sit top of the Premier League on 57 points from 26 games. Right behind them, Manchester City on 53 on paper. That looks like control. But look closer. Arsenal just drew 1-1 at Brentford, and their first shot on target didn't arrive until the goal itself. One moment of quality in a game where margins were razor thin. That's how title races shift, not through collapse but through hesitation. And while Arsenal were wrestling with tension, City were dismantling Fulham 3-0.
We've been critical of the City team over the last 18 months or so, but if you're in Arsenal's camp, yeah, you're comfortable where you are in the points total, and they're playing, and again, a lot of goals over the last week or so, the clean sheets, etc. But you don't want to be looking over shoulder at Pep, because they've got a history of hunting you down.
Erling Haaland quietly moved to 22 league goals. New signings are already influencing rotation. The structure looks sharper, the tempo more calculated. This is where it gets uncomfortable, because we've seen this movie before.
The people start to say, and I had the feeling, it's over, and it's not over. It's over, will be over when it will be over, and it's not over.
In 2022/23, City chased Arsenal from behind. They waited, they applied pressure, and when the moment arrived, the Etihad crushed the race. That wasn't the first time, and it won't be the last. Now there's a Wembley final between them in March, Champions League knockouts in midweek, FA Cup fixtures draining legs, and a head-to-head in April that could tilt everything. This isn't just Arsenal versus City, it's Arsenal versus City versus the calendar. And Pep Guardiola may have quietly added a tactical layer that makes this chase feel familiar. This is why the most dangerous version of Manchester City might be the one that doesn't look desperate at all. There's a mistake people make every single time Pep Guardiola ends up in a title race. They look at the table in February and assume the story is already written. Guardiola doesn't read February like a verdict. He reads it like a blueprint. And if you want the cleanest historical warning for Arsenal, you don't need to go back a decade. You only need to go back to 2022/23. Arsenal were top for most of that season. They weren't accidentally leading, they were genuinely good. But the collapse didn't arrive as one dramatic crash. It came as pressure accumulation, the kind that doesn't always show in one match. Then the wobble started. First came the draw at Liverpool, 2-2 at Anfield. A game Arsenal led, then couldn't kill. Next came West Ham at home, another 2-2. Again, Arsenal had control. Again, the game slipped. 2 weekends, 2 big leads lost. 2 it's fine results that weren't fine at all. And that's when Guardiola did what he always does. He didn't chase the table, he chased the psychology. Because once a team starts dropping points while leading, they begin playing 2 matches at once. The match on the pitch and the match in their head. Then came the hinge moment on April 26th, 2023. Manchester City 4-1 Arsenal at the Etihad. It wasn't just a loss, it was a message. City didn't simply beat Arsenal, they put the title race in their hands. City went on to win the league with 89 points. Arsenal finished on 84. That's the historical pattern you're dealing with. Pressure accumulation, Arsenal doubt, City acceleration, ruthless execution. Guardiola doesn't panic in February. He engineers inevitability by April. So the real question in 2026 isn't, can City catch Arsenal? It's darker than that. Is the same mechanism starting again? And are City building the same momentum at the same time? Look at what City have done in the last week alone. They went to Anfield and won 2-1, with Bernardo Silva equalising late and Haaland deciding it from the spot. In stoppage time, a chaotic high-pressure game that champions often survive. Then they came home and handled Fulham 3-0, like a team that knows exactly when to conserve energy and when to strike. And the details of that Fulham game matter, because it wasn't a 1-0 struggle or a late rescue. City were 3-0 up inside 39 minutes, then basically managed the second half like a side that understands what the run-in demands. That's the most dangerous version of City. Not the version chasing perfection, the version chasing outcomes. This is where the new layer becomes real, because City aren't just getting results, they're getting results with new contributors, which changes the entire pressure dynamic. Against Fulham, Antoine Semenyo scored and assisted, introduced as a January signing and already producing in decisive moments. Erling Haaland scored again, moving to 22 league goals this season. The second goal came through Nico O'Reilly, with City punishing errors quickly and directly. And then in the FA Cup rotation game against Salford, Mark Guehi, another January arrival, scored his first City goal to seal the tie. That's not just a cup footnote, it's a signal. When reinforcements are contributing, Guardiola gets to rotate without losing control, which is how City stay strong across 4 competitions. And this is the part Arsenal have to fear. Congestion doesn't break City, it usually powers them. Here's the simplest way to frame what's changing. City are not trying to dominate beautifully every week, they're trying to dominate efficiently. That's a tactical identity shift people often miss, because it doesn't always look glamorous, it looks clinical. You can see a consistent emphasis in Guardiola's teams on building central superiority through box midfield structures, creating a 2+2 central shape to control the centre and dictate where the opponent can press. But the 2026 edge isn't just more midfielders inside, it's what that creates. Behind the ball, stronger rest defence, so when they lose the ball, they're already positioned to kill counters early. Fewer emergency sprints, fewer broken transitions, and faster circulation into wide channels. Instead of slow, predictable domination, City can switch the point of attack more quickly and punish teams when they step out. This is why they look calmer now. It's not vibes, it's spacing and structure. The most important change in a title run-in is not how you attack when you feel good, it's how you behave when the game gets messy. Against Fulham, reports highlighted City overwhelming them early, and crucially that they were able to build a lead, then manage the game. A classic press early, control later blueprint. City's pressing isn't just about chasing high, it's about where they want the opponent to play. Forcing rushed passes into traffic, hunting second balls aggressively, setting traps around the halfway line so teams can't breathe their way out. Guardiola's teams do this well. Opponents don't just lose the ball, they lose time. Here's the difference between a team in form and a team built for April. A team in form wins when the starters are sharp. A team built for April wins when the calendar tries to break them. City have Haaland scoring like a metronome with 22 league goals. New contributors like Semenyo delivering end product instantly, and rotation players and new signings stepping into cup minutes without the structure collapsing. That's how Guardiola manufactures inevitability. Not by being better for 90 minutes, by being better for 12 weeks. So when you zoom out, you can feel the same pattern forming. In 2022/23, Arsenal didn't lose the title in one game. They lost it in the weeks where control became fragile. In 2026, Arsenal are still but City are doing what City do, shortening the gap, spreading contributions across the squad, winning big games and then managing routine games like a machine. Calendar is about to turn vicious. Wembley pressure, Europe, FA Cup rotation, then that head-to-head stretch where 1 week can reorder the entire table. Guardiola doesn't need Arsenal to collapse. He only needs them to hesitate once at the wrong time. And the frightening part? City look like they're timing their best football for exactly that moment. Look at Arsenal's title challenge in 2025/26. It isn't built on chaos, it's built on control. They want to decide where games are played, what tempo games are played at, and how often opponents even get the chance to run. And tactically, that idea is real, not a slogan. Arsenal have been deliberately operating with shape fluidity, flipping between 4-3-3 and 4-2-3-1 as phases change. But here's the uncomfortable truth about control-first football. It's brilliant when you're fresh. It becomes fragile when the calendar forces you to play tired. And that's the pressure Arsenal are walking into. Watch Arsenal closely and you'll see a team that is rarely fixed. They can look like a 4-3-3 during build-up and progression, then morph into a 4-2-3-1 shape as they settle into the final third. That flip is not cosmetic. It's how Arteta tries to solve 2 problems at once. First, build cleanly and safely. Arsenal wants secure possession platforms, often supported by inverted movements that pulls extra bodies into central zones. This gives them stable circulation and repeatable access into the half spaces, the areas where overloads actually create chances, not just passes. Second, attack with rotation, not randomness. Once Arsenal establish territory, they They rely on rotational overloads, players interchanging positions to pull markers away and open passing lanes between the lines. Tactical analysis notes how their structures support this, with personnel taking higher positions and operating more between the lines. When it's clicking, Arsenal don't look like a team trying things. They look like a team running patterns. And that's why they've been top. The Brentford draw is the cleanest example of why this balancing act can become dangerous. Match reports confirmed that Noni Madueke's goal was Arsenal's first effort on target in that match. That detail matters because it exposes the weakness of a control-first team on an off-tempo day. When tempo drops, creativity narrows. If Arsenal's circulation becomes a beat too slow, opponents can reset their block, deny central lanes and force Arsenal into low-yield areas. When clean build-up is disrupted, transitions get longer. Arsenal's attacking structure commits bodies forward. That's fine when their counter-press is sharp, but if the first press is bypassed, the recovery distances grow, and suddenly Arsenal aren't controlling the match anymore, they're sprinting inside it. Brentford's equaliser coming from a long throw situation underlines the other hidden risk. A controlled match can become unstable in one moment. Coverage flagged that the leveller came from a long throw, and that Brentford had big chances late. That's the warning. Arsenal don't need to play badly to drop points. They just need a match where control doesn't turn into chances. This is where the contrast becomes uncomfortable. Arsenal's best version is built to reduce volatility. Fewer transitions, fewer open exchanges, fewer moments. City's best version, especially late-season Guardiola, is built to create inevitability. Win without rhythm, win without sparkle, win because the opponent is the one spending emotional energy. And right now, Arsenal are about to enter the part of the season where emotional energy becomes a currency. On Sunday, March 22nd, Arsenal face Manchester City in the Carabao Cup final at Wembley. This is not just a cup final, it's a pressure rehearsal for the league decider. The danger for Arsenal isn't only physical, it's psychological. If Arsenal win, it can reinforce belief, but it also raises the stakes of the league run-in. If Arsenal lose, it feeds City's most dangerous weapon, inevitability. Either way, Wembley becomes a title race event because it's Arsenal and City in a final right before the season squeezes. Then there's the FA Cup. On February 15th, Arsenal host Wigan in the fourth round at the Emirates. This is the kind of game title challengers say they'll rotate, then end up paying for. This is where the FA Cup erodes title races. You rotate and risk rhythm, you don't rotate and risk fatigue. Either way, you spend something. And in a season where Arsenal are trying to maintain precision in build-up and pressing, fatigue doesn't show up as tired legs first. It shows up as slower decisions, a half-second late on the press, a pass played safer instead of sharper, a final third rotation that becomes predictable. That's how Cup weekends quietly tax league control. Now add the real schedule killer. The Champions League round of 16 arrives on March 10th and 11th for the first legs, with the second legs on March 17th and 18th. Quarterfinals follow on April 7th and 8th, then April 14th and 15th. Semi-finals land in late April into early May. Layer that over the Wembley final in March, the FA Cup demands, and the decisive league stretch, including the Etihad clash in April. This is peak congestion, the period where teams either become machines or become emotional. And historically, Guardiola's edge isn't just tactics. It's that City can win league matches in this period without spending themselves. So the real question isn't whether Arsenal can control games. They can. The question is this: can Arsenal speed up when required, or are they at their best only when everything is played on their terms? Because when April hits, and the calendar starts forcing uncomfortable games every 3 days, nobody gets everything on their terms. And that's exactly when City start feeling most at home. This title race is no longer about who looks better, it's about who can keep producing points. Arsenal are top on 57 points after 26 games. City are on 53, but fixture difficulty analysis shows something important. Arsenal's run-in is rated easier on paper, average difficulty of 2.66 compared to City's 2.93, yet Arsenal still have the single hardest test left, City away. So this is what Arsenal must do to win it. First, rebuild momentum before the Etihad. Use the inviting stretch properly. Don't arrive in April still searching. Arrive with points already banked and confidence intact. Second, fix the tight game problem. Turn control into shot volume. Arsenal Arsenal's recent wobble isn't about effort, it's about output in narrow matches. So when the game is tense and the block is deep, Arsenal must create more attempts earlier, more second-phase chances, more cutbacks, more shots after regains, so one set-piece doesn't undo an hour of control. Third, survive injuries without losing punch. Kai Havertz is expected to miss at least 4 matches with a muscular injury. In a control-based system, losing a key connector can quietly reduce chance volume. Arsenal need clearer box occupation and more direct final actions until the personnel picture stabilises. Fourth, manage emotion like champions, especially around Wembley. The calendar contains emotional landmines, the Carabao Cup final versus City in March, then league games where legs are heavy. Arsenal must treat every week like a 2-part job. Win the match, then recover fast enough to win the next one. Arsenal's non-negotiable. Don't reach April needing a miracle at the Etihad. Build a buffer, or you invite City's favourite situation, pressure football. First, keep the gap within one result. Guardiola has basically spelled out the chase. Breathe down the neck. Be there and punish the slip. He's also been explicit that City have to beat Arsenal at home. That's the blueprint. Stay close enough that the Etihad becomes psychological warfare, not just 3 points. Second, win ugly, win routinely. Fixture analysis says City's schedule is the toughest of the main contenders on paper. That means Guardiola can't chase perfect performances. He has to chase points per week. The chase only works if City keeps stacking wins in the awkward fixtures so Arsenal feel the footsteps. Third, rotate like it's a weapon, not a compromise. City's domestic cup rotation has already shown how Guardiola protects the league without surrendering control, using depth to keep energy high. That matters even more with the FA Cup, Carabao final and Champions League return all coming. City's edge is workload management while staying ruthless. Fourth, keep Haaland available and firing. His goals swing tight title games and Guardiola's chase model depends on late margins. Keep the match winners fit, keep the structure stable and make every Arsenal draw feel like a collapse. City's non-negotiable, arrive at the Etihad with the gap at 3 points or less. If they do, the pressure flips. Arsenal stop leading the league and start defending a season. Arsenal are top. They've earned that position, but being first in February means nothing if April demands perfection. They must raise their shot volume in tight games. They must protect late leads. They must manage injuries. And most importantly, they must arrive at the Etihad with control, not hope. Because if they arrive needing a rescue act, they'll be walking into the exact scenario Pep Guardiola has built his career mastering. Manchester City don't need to be spectacular. They need to be relentless, stay within one result, rotate smartly through Europe, keep their game-enders fit, and turn that Etihad night into a psychological test. History says Guardiola doesn't panic in these moments. He compresses the gap and waits. So here's the real tension. If Arsenal can handle the calendar, they win the league. If City keep it close until April, the pressure flips. And when the pressure flips, we've seen how this story can end. The table shows 4 points. But the season will be decided by who handles the squeeze. And that squeeze is coming.